Bulking has always been the most effective way to build muscle. All the biggest bodybuilders in history have all gone through periods of looking like a fat mess in pursuit of even the most incremental gains in muscularity. But recently there has been some slanderous claims made against eating in a calorie surplus. So before we go into the best way to structure your bulk to limit any excess fat gains, let's start by fixing some of the misconceptions out there. And I don't know why, but this one bugged me the most.
Hate to say I told you so, but bulking up and eating in enough of a surplus to gain a noticeable amount of body fat, cutting back down, and then doing this over and over.
What the girl with the heavies goes on to say is that eating in a surplus, 1, increases insulin resistance, and 2, even a small surplus can induce adipocyte hyperplasia, meaning your body creates more fat cells. I know, even hearing that, your butthole, don't freak out. Relax your anus. Yes, eating in a calorie surplus has been shown to increase insulin resistance. But what's interesting is when they've tracked people over a 30-day period of eating in a surplus, followed by a 30-day deficit, they found that their insulin resistance was actually lower than the starting point. In reality, it might actually be more linked to the overall macronutrient profile because they've seen the same adverse effects in healthy, lean individuals on a low-carb diet. If you're that worried about it, just increase your dietary fiber and all your blood markers related to insulin resistance will improve, like mine did. I'm not gonna lie, when I saw the research showing that even a relatively small surplus can increase the number of fat cells, I had the same response that you did. But when you take a step back and remember that adipose tissue's sole function isn't to slowly build a wall and keep you from ever seeing your junk again, it actually plays a huge role in whole body energy and glucose homeostasis. When adipose tissue expands through hyperplasia, it can store excess energy in a more controlled manner and improve insulin sensitivity, which is good. It's when fat cells become larger, hypertrophy, and they outgrow their blood supply, become hypoxic, and secrete inflammatory cytokines, which is bad. I don't know how this got all ass backwards, because the lack of adipogenesis is linked to type 2 diabetes and obesity. And we can bring it all the way back to anecdotal experience, because anybody who's had multiple bulks and cuts will tell you that it's actually easier to hold a lower body fat percentage with each successive off season. So no, it's not harder to lose body fat when you've done a bulk, easier. Unless you wake up one day and realize you're on My 600 Pound Life and they have to use a crane to pull you out of your house, then yes, you've gone too far. And no, that's not what that's for. That's how I move equipment. But if it happens, I've already got it. Now that we're on the same page in the fact that a calorie surplus isn't a bad thing, it's also important to know that if you're trying to build muscle at maintenance level of calories or even crazy enough to do it in a deficit, good fucking luck. To put it simply, building muscle is a very energy intensive process. To be more specific, we can get a rough estimate of the energy cost needed to build 1 pound of muscle just by looking at the calorie cost of each of its individual components. We know that a muscle is basically just water, protein, fat, glycogen, and minerals and other shit. If we break that down by the estimated percentages, we can use that to calculate the calories of each of those individual components, which ends up being around 545 calories. But that's not even including the cost to synthesize the new protein, which is anywhere from 200 to 400 calories. So let's just say 845 calories. You should immediately see that and think, oh, that's why it's so hard to build muscle in a deficit. Caveat being that unless you're a fatty and you have more endogenous energy stores to pull from, or you're a new lifter because they respond to everything. Here's a meta-analysis that looked for lean mass gain studies that compared participants in a calorie deficit versus ones that weren't. As you can see, when you restricted calories, it made it hard to build muscle. When you didn't, it was easy. The main reason I highlighted that study is because they also found that when calorie restriction reached 500 calories a day, the estimated changes in lean mass were negative. It's obviously important because most people, when they start their cut, they use a 500 calorie deficit because it equals 3,500 calories a week, which is roughly a pound of fat. So just know if you're gonna do an aggressive bulk and to put on as much muscle as possible to get all fat and sassy, that you're gonna have to take it off very slowly or add in some pharmacological intervention, or you will lose a lot of those precious gains. The next obvious question is, how aggressive should our bulk be? And it goes without saying, but with a great amount of calories comes a great amount of muscle, but also double chins. Here's a study that looked at bodybuilders, which is rare to find, and they try to make it as fair as possible by telling them during the study they couldn't take any of their anabolics, and the way they ensured that is by saying, you better not. So who knows if they actually did or not, but they had one large surplus group and one moderate. The higher calorie group obviously put on more muscle, but they almost put on 3 times the amount of fat than muscle. The moderate group put on less muscle, but also more muscle than fat, so I would probably take that one. I think the general recommendation of an extra 200 to 300 calories a week for experienced lifters and 500 for newbies is a good starting point. Hard gainers, you can disregard that completely. But again, that's just the starting point. It's not gonna be how you adjust your calories moving forward. The scale will be your guide on how to adjust your calories from week to week. If you wanna do a fairly moderate, safe bulk, then I would aim for a ½ pound per week. If you wanna get a little bit more aggressive, aim for a pound. Anything past that, you're pushing to the point of gaining a lot of excess fat, which is fine. You can do a bulk like that, but remember, take it off very, very slow. And enjoy those man titties while you have them. So let's use my fat ass as an example and show you where and how I would integrate these additional calories. Just keep in mind, I'm currently in a bulk, so if the numbers look weird, it's because I'm already kind of fat. The first step is to figure out your maintenance level of calories. Now, you can use whatever online calculator you like, but it's been my experience that no matter what formula you use, the activity multipliers always overestimate your maintenance level of calories. So what I did is made an Excel spreadsheet, used the Harris-Benedict formula, but instead of using these activity multipliers, I use my own. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to use this Excel spreadsheet. Just understand, no, I will not approve you as an editor because it'll screw up the spreadsheet for everybody else. Click File, make a copy, and then you can do whatever the fuck you want. After we have our maintenance level of calories, we're gonna choose a surplus. For me, it was 110%, which is roughly around 300 extra calories. And don't forget, every morning after you wake up and take your piss, or if you're a morning shitter, write down your weight. I also do evening weigh-ins as well, just to see how my body's responding to water, sodium, all that. You don't have to get that OCD, but track your morning weights. What macronutrient should those extra calories be from? The obvious, easy answer would be carbohydrates. But if you're somebody that wants to limit the amount of excess fat gain as much as possible, then it might make sense to increase carbohydrates as well as protein. Because the more we learn about protein, it tends to be like everything else, like volume and your mom, it has a diminishing returns curve. The interesting thing is that if we look back on that study comparing bodybuilders with different surpluses, you're gonna notice that the moderate group also had higher protein, and I think there's something to that. Because protein has a higher DIT, diet-induced thermogenesis, than other macronutrients. You might think, well, doesn't that just bring you back closer to maintenance and that's not really doing much? No. What it allows for is a higher net protein availability. So in my scenario, going from 1 gram per pound to 1.1 grams per pound adds an additional 25 grams protein or 100 calories. And when you have extra protein, it's always best to spread it out between the 3 places you need it the most. First thing in the morning, so you switch from catabolism to anabolism, right around your workout, so pre, intra, post, and before bed, so you have a steady supply of amino acids. And I get the remaining 200 calories from my intended 300 calorie surplus from carbohydrates with the same logic of putting it around my workout. And if the scale doesn't move in the direction I want, I just increase it by 100 calories each week with the same 1-to-2 ratio of protein and carbohydrates. It's pretty hard to become a fat mess when you do it like this. I mean, I don't look amazing, but less bad than I have. And if this is at all confusing, in that spreadsheet I have linked, it'll have a separate tab that shows you how I break down the macros of each, and it makes it easier. Less of a chance that you fuck it up on your own. The last thing I'll say on this is, if you're a true hard gainer and you have a higher than average total daily energy expenditure, NEAT, DIT, and you just burn through everything you eat, then I would still go through this entire process, set everything up, and understand your meal macros, frequency, all of that good shit that we just did. But I would just eat calorie-dense bullshit between every meal as well. And then use the scale to guide you going forward. I've also had several people ask me, what's the best way to train to put on mass? I made a whole video about this, but what it comes down to, as long as you're training with enough intensity and hit a sufficient amount of volume, you're gonna see results. Personally, I've been doing an upper-lower split, and I just released it in a new program that I'll link below in the description. So if you don't have anything concrete to follow, I would buy that. It's 6 weeks, it's horrible in all the right ways, and it's only $20. So if you can't afford it, fuck, that sucks.